Welcome to the neighbors.
Cheers.
Hey guys, we are ready to get started.
All right. Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
Woo! So I'm gonna try to run and over in a small group. How's everyone doing tonight? I'll get the microphone and record it, but first and foremost, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Right? Without you all, we wouldn't have any event. And some of you are traveling internationally, some of you are traveling locally, all the way from the South Bay. Before I start, I want to give recognition to our venue host, right? Cole Freeman, Malin, right? This is their law firm, this is their office. So I want to hand it to Brett to kind of welcome you, and he's going to be one of our speakers also.
Thank you, Ken. Everybody hear me okay? I mean, it's the people here that come. This is why these events mean something. It's the planners, it's Ken, it's Sonia, it's Hedera, it's Orbis86, it's Antonella from my team. Like, that's why these events mean something. So thank you for being here. The one thing I'll encourage you all to do is, whether it's one or two things, take away. Whether it's a follow-up with the startup, it's reaching out to someone that you met here, do it tomorrow. Don't wait, because if you do, it won't happen. So I really encourage you to take something from this. That's why we get together. That's why our AI note takers online are listening, and you're here in the flesh. There's no AI avatars. So I really do mean that. And then, for us, Cole Freeman, if you're a startup and you need legal counsel, you're looking for resources, reach out anytime. If you're an investor, whether you're an angel, VC, group of investors, or a syndicate, or you're going to form a fund, reach out to us. Work with the best of AI and crypto: Coinbase, Kraken Ventures, Polychain, Pegasus, Startup World Cup. I mean, we try to work with the best, and we're happy to help. So thanks everybody for being here, and I'll turn it back over to Ken.
And of course, our MVP or all-star for tonight, besides the speaker, is sitting right in front of us, Sonia.
All right. Hey, guys, thank you, all of you, for coming here. We have a good panel. I know we started a little late. Apologies for the inconvenience. But there's lots of food and drink, and we have just one panel, so there's going to be a lot of time for networking too. I think we have enough food to take the whole building. That being said, I want to give a shout out to all of our panelists who will be speaking here today. And we are running a little late, but our opening remarks will be short. We have a couple of slides from our sponsors, so we're going to go ahead and play those so we can give them the shout out. All right?
It started with a vision for how the internet should work, how it could work. Really should work. For anyone to just kind of wave their hand, carve out this kind of space and create a world of their own. But the technology to achieve such a vision simply did not exist. There's no way that you could have really high throughput and also have all these security experiments. I was able to do myself. Nagging. And so I would pick it up again and decide again. This technology for years.
3 years later, Lehman had a breakthrough: the hash graph consensus algorithm.
In 2015, Nancy Lehman founded Swirls to backward test the algorithms in private permissioned environments. And the following year, Lehman published a technical paper. But in order to realize the vision of a fairer, more secure
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
a public ledger built on Hashgraph. Okay, it looks like we are down to the final seconds here. 3, 2, 1.
The network is open. As of this moment, we have council members online ready to take transactions from anyone, anywhere in the world.
Since open access, Hedera has witnessed exponential growth on the network with billions of real-world transactions, hundreds of applications, and tens of thousands of ecosystem developers. The Hedera Council has gone from strength to strength, growing to 29 members on 6 continents, stewarding the network responsibly and ensuring its longevity for generations to come. Hello, future.
Hedera is our title sponsor for the event, and Sanjeev can talk about Hedera if you guys want to learn more about the network. They have surpassed 40 million transactions on their mainnet so far, and they are known to be an environmentally sustainable chain. Along with that, they are also a chain that a lot of enterprises are working on. As you saw, their governing board members, they include people like Google, ServiceNow, Boeing, so on and so forth. So to learn about Hedera more, you can chat with me or you can chat with Sanjeev right there. All right, and we did hear from Brett, so I'm going to skip this, but again, Brett, thank you for this wonderful venue. And it is a little cold outside, but we'll be taking the networking outside too. We also have our startup demos that will be set up right there. During the networking hours, you can go and check out our startups there. I also want to give a shout out to Internet Computer. They are our sponsor for tonight. And here's a little, so this is a slightly longer video, but it should go through what the Internet Computer is and how you can build on it. And right after these videos, then we are going to get into the panel.
The history of the Internet Computer really dates back to the mid-1990s when I began working on distributed systems. By the dot-com era, I was also working in cryptography and trying to create what would have been one of the world's first cloud services. 2013, I got into Bitcoin. By the end of the year, I decided I wanted to create a virtual currency for the games industry. I circulated a paper in October 2014, repurposing traditional Byzantine fault-tolerant consensus map. I got involved with the early Ethereum community, and I'd seen how blockchain could do much more than just cryptocurrency. You could, in fact, use a blockchain to host code and data and computation. At some point, I heard the phrase world computer. To me, world computer, it meant an extension of the internet that you could use to build almost any system and service using smart contracts. I renamed the project Affinity, which is a short name of decentralized infinity, and began working towards this new goal of creating a world computer. Affinity Foundation was created in October 2016, and then it ran a big public ICO in February 2017. That enabled us rapidly to expand the Affinity R&D team. By the end of that year, we were running the biggest R&D operation in blockchain. The people we have at Affinity are just the most incredible bunch of hardworking, visionary, talented people that you could ever imagine. And I'm grateful every single day that I come to work. When the Internet Computer mainnet finally launched, it was pretty wild. As an organization, we were primarily staffed by R&D folks, as is the nature of the project. Meanwhile, while all this wildness was going on, we had to contribute to the network to keep it up and running. Internet Computers managed to run the last 2 years without any downtime. There's been so many improvements that have been added to the Internet Computer in the last 2 years. There are almost too many to mention. Just recently, something called Chainkey Bitcoin went live. Internet Computer nodes actually talk to Bitcoin nodes. That enables smart contracts on the Internet Computer to directly process Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain without need for bridges. The next step is to integrate with Ethereum, which will allow smart contracts on the Internet Computer to process any asset on the Ethereum blockchain and call into Ethereum smart contracts. And that's a big deal. because internet computer smart contracts can serve user experiences by processing HTTP. And that's a very unique capability. By integrating the internet computer Ethereum networks, we'll be giving that unique capability to Ethereum smart contracts too. So one of the very cool things about the internet computer is the world's first adaptive blockchain. And that means that it runs under the control of a decentralized governance system. And you can submit proposals to this governance system that change the structure of the network or run protocol upgrades, and they'll be executed completely automatically. This differs from traditional blockchains, which are upgraded through a process known as hard forking. Through this governance system, the internet computer has already been upgraded 145 times in the 2 years since mainnet has been running. The internet computer is designed to be a world computer and host things like social networks and enterprise systems on the blockchain itself. And to do that, it has to be unbounded. It has to be able to scale without limit, host any amount of data, any amount of computation, and do so very efficiently. I think one of the big surprises of the internet computer is that eventually, not only can blockchain act as a crypto cloud that replaces centralized tech, but that crypto cloud can actually be more efficient than centralized tech in the end. And of course, being green and reducing emissions of technology worldwide is a key objective. The internet computer has very fast-growing and vibrant community of developers building. We've seen just about every kind of Web3 service imaginable, and now we're increasingly seeing enterprises experimenting with building tamper-proof and unstoppable systems on the internet computer that run without need for a firewall or security team. 2 years on from launch, we really are well and truly on the road to realizing this vision of a blockchain singularity, where almost everything one day will be built on the blockchain. And the blockchain will play the role of a world computer that's the everything stack that will eventually eat centralized technology.
All right, so that's about ICP. And if you want to learn more about ICP, we do have Susanna here, where Omnity is a hub on which you can build on top of ICP. We had somebody, in the video, they were referencing building with Bitcoin. So Zan is the person to talk to. And moving on, we also have some domain giveaways. So if I'll be showing a QR code later on, but also if you scan one of the QR codes on the Orbis86 banner, the star is outside too, you should see a link that will allow you to claim a domain from Unstoppable Domains worth $50. Here's a quick video about Unstoppable Domains. I think we all know about it, but still we have to do a video.
What is an unstoppable Web3 domain? It's your name on the internet. It's your Web3 identity. It's how you pay and get paid online. It's your universal crypto wallet. It's streamlined login across Web3. It verifies ownership of your digital assets and collectibles. It brings NFT avatars to life. An unstoppable Web3 domain. It's owned, not rented. It's freedom from renewal fees. It's something you control forever. Minted on chain, stored in your wallet. It's as versatile as you want it to be. And proof that you too are real, not a bot. It's your name. It's your reputation. It's your identity. It's you. Own it. So, what are you waiting for? Get your Web3 domain today.
All right. Again, we will be sending out an email later on also to take the domain, but scan the QR code, make a social media post about the event, and $50 domain is yours. You can also scan the QR code here. I'm just going to put it up for 10 seconds. You will receive a Google form link to submit the social media post. And all what you have to do is just put a link, post it on LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever. And then we send you get an email from Unstoppable Domains to claim your $50 domain. All right. Finally, it's time for the panel. So I would love to give us back to Ken, who's going to be moderating the panel. And Ken, if you could also invite all of our wonderful guests.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you, Sonia. Let's give a round of applause to Sonia and Jamie. But I have a little gift bag here, but since I'm a local San Francisco, I'm born and raised here, I always like doing a little trivia. Again, my name is Ken Lim. I am with Off-Chain Global, which we organize events like this globally. We have over 73 chapters around the world. So anywhere you travel, there's probably an off-chain there. So thank you all for being here. And later on, you get to have a little cacao, one of the best hot cocoa you're gonna have with Agriverse, Gary back there, that's gonna be serving you. So sustainable, Amazon grown cacao from Brazil. So now, without any further ado, my question for you as a trivia before I call the speakers up is: anybody know who what the mascot is for the San Francisco Giants? See, oh, I see a hand. Oh, Scott, you don't count, but you get a gift anyway.
I met him at the fan fest. It's Lucy.
And James? Patrick is a Lucille, is a seal. We have RJ and Kat in the back.
I didn't see him on Saturday.
So, Patrick, I'll get you a gift bag then. All right, so without any further ado, we're gonna have our star for today's show. Our panelists, thank you for being here. First, we're gonna call Brett up. All right, Brett, you see? And Suzanne? Sanjeev? And John. Now you're gonna not hear from me because you're gonna hear directly from our speakers of who they are. This way. I'm gonna be on screen. The speakers are most important. So with that, John, you want to introduce yourself, your company, what are your focus?
Sure, my name is John Occupanti, brought on. I could probably speak loud enough for everyone.
No,
Yeah, so I'm John Occupanti. I am a partner at Nautilus. It's an asset management company. Born and raised here in Silicon Valley. My father raised money from Gene Kleiner and Don Valentine of Sequoia. So we have a rich history here. I was early at Netscape, so I was very familiar at Netscape. So Web 1 was started. And then I've been spending most of my time and career in venture capital at the early stage. So about 30 years plus of investing in startups, working with entrepreneurs, owning and operating some of my own businesses. And then recently we were just about to launch and announce Nautilus. My partner has 10 to 15 years of investing in this space. He invests in Infinity, Luxo, Polkadot, Near Foundation, and so all the layer one folks. And we're talking more about.
Hi, my name is Sanjeev. So I represent actually Hedera here, but my company is Zonex. So we build available asset on Zonex, on Hedera. And yeah, we've been in this space since 2017. So we built the institution today, blockchain and AI platform, which actually push the institutions, any assets on chain, regulatory and compliant. So yeah, happy to present and what we built on Hedera to tell you guys about. So
Hi everyone, my name is Suzanne Lee, and I'm the editor and communications director for Omni Network. And Omni Network is, what do we do? We build sort of a suite of non-custodial, permissionless, on-chain Bitcoin tools for developers, secured by ICP's chain key cryptography, multi-party computation, network of Bitcoin node operators, right? That's a lot, but let me make it really simple from a high level. So we have basically two products right now. One focuses on interoperability with Bitcoin, and that's called the Omni Hub. We can build a light client and connect any chain to Bitcoin and ICP. But right now we're focusing on more on Bitcoin programmability. So we've developed something called the Ruins Exchange Environment, or REE. And what this does is it introduces a Turing-complete compute environment for DeFi developers on Bitcoin to really build embracing Bitcoin's UTXO-based structure, right, instead of working against it. We're currently building this thing, and it will be launched with a test net. We're going to open source it with development support and docs in just a few weeks. In the meantime, we launched the first Ruins AMM DEX on it, which is live right now, as a blueprint, really, for developers to understand our exchange logic. And,
Very exciting launches from Suzanne and John. But for me, again, I'm Brett. I'm a partner and corporate attorney, Colton and Allen. I'm on the journey with most of you. Your ride, wherever it goes in AI, crypto, a combination of the both, SaaS, software, whatever it is. That's 75% of what I do. So you could be pre-seed, you could be Series C. I'm there to advise and help. I've been a former founder, went through 500 Global many years ago. I've been down the Web3 rabbit hole for almost a decade. Transplanter from the Midwest, and somehow I got stuck in Silicon Valley and had nowhere to leave. And aside from advising clients, try to put together events where people can connect and find ways to solve problems, and in a space where you're in AI, any deep tech, Web3, the better your support is, the better you can go. And we have a lot of challenges, right? We're going to talk about some of those today. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really excited to talk to all of you.
Nice, and of course, we're here, ETH SF is this week, right? And then today's topic is unlocking the future, right? And now we see a lot of merge between Web3 community, AI community, and a lot of developments happening. You know, I'm going to ask a question of what are you most excited about, whether it's the Web3 specific AI or the convergence of it. Just to share with you, I'm excited with Fartcoin. I'm just kidding. Right, with Fartcoin with AI, right? There's a merger of agents involved. But I see the smile on there, Brett, yourself. What are you most excited about?
So I think it applies to both, Ken. It's the accessibility and the collaboration that apply. So what I mean by that is to be accessible, like how do we get people to understand what this means if you're early in the spectrum and you don't know a lot about AI and Web3 and you're trying to sell solutions to them? And if you're further along, you're building products, well, how do you open up doors with partnerships? You're trying to sell to big enterprise companies. I mean, they're going to take you seriously now. I think we see that enough with NVIDIA. And I just read an interview today with Robinhood on the emergence of crypto and AI and what their plans are with financial markets. I mean, all of it's happening, but the reality is like, what's the low-hanging fruit to get stuff off the ground? So I always talk to my clients about is like, how do we just get something forward that can drive business, can drive revenue, can drive users, and go from there, and then get people to interact with it. That's being accessible. If they don't interact with it, there's no adoption. So that's really important. The collaborative part of this is simply, now that we have the US kind of resetting on the regulatory side, how do we get more downward push forward to open up business in a way that the builders and the investors that invest in them are comfortable with doing what they do and making stuff happen.
And Suzanne, you've been building, right? That you're excited. It's very ominous.
What am I most excited about the future, though? I mean, I'm going to step out of my role. I'm not an AI engineer. I specifically work in Web3, although we did build an agent last summer for fun. I'm really excited. Brett, sorry. Like Brett said, usability and accessibility are huge elephants in the room. You know, with Web3, it's the obvious, you know, most Web3, the apps have clunky UX, and so, you know, before anybody even uses your app, they've got to write down 12 words or write down 24 words, and they've got to buy something for gas that they don't even understand in order to do the translation that came to your app to do, and that needs to be taken care of, right? That's obvious in Web3, but with AI, I also noticed that there is a steep learning curve in for some LLMs for prompting, and I think that's improving, but it needs to get better. I mean, anyone who's spent a lot of time trying to prompt a journey right knows what I'm talking about. At a certain level, it's like, you know, I think this can be easier on the front end. I'm looking forward to that. What I'm looking forward to the most is the integration of Web3 and AI. And this is why, I mean, we're living in a time where it's going to be kind of crazy with proliferation of AI, right? So how do we verify anything is true? I'm looking forward to a time when, like, imagine, say, an AI-driven research where the sources are verifiable on-chain, or perhaps AI-generated curated or generated content where verifiable attestation, right, can show original authorship and provenance. And I think we're going to come into this in the future. It's not there yet, but I see Web3 saving AI's ass a little bit.
Oh, that's a great way to say it. The agents need to trade tokens, right? How about you, Sanjeev?
So yeah, this is exactly the moment. In fact, we are extremely excited about. The reason being because when we started back in 2017, it took us literally a long to actually get even our first validation to the use case, for our platform. So because we deal in financial securities, and securities moves with the regulation. So these are not NFTs or meme coins. So we were struggling to understand how the regulators could probably see this as a real world asset ownership moving on chain, right? So over the years, we've seen a huge clarity. Probably with the current administrations, I don't want to say this, but yeah, I mean, it's something which is, I see regulators are not more kind of like blockers, they are both enablers. So this is something which is really good for us. I mean, when we deal with real world asset ownership on chain. I think this is exactly the time when we are extremely excited about. And of course, Web3 and AI is something which is in a different league today. The reason being because we've been working on, of course, generative AI is to actually put the smart contracts management in terms of pushing the token issuance on chain, where you literally can automate this whole process. I mean, you don't have to, have any issues with the humans actually could probably make mistakes in issuances as well on smart contracts. But this whole process can actually make generative AI automated, right? We are also actually, something which is extremely interesting for us is forest deep neural network, which is actually kind of like extremely good for financial modeling, risk assessment. And that's something which we've been working on it since past 8 months now. I don't want to say that we are already there, but then this could probably change potentially the financial landscape of how the fund administration or any financial institution could probably drive the ownership interest of portfolio or financial assets on chain. So this is something which is extremely exciting, and so this is what I'm excited about.
Yeah, no, you touch finance, so we're gonna get to John, especially as a VC in the room, right? This is a quick show of hand in the community here. How many founders here in the room? Well, more than half of the people are founders. So John, from a VC perspective.
Yeah, we have to kind of get back to first principles. The startup, the definition of a startup is a temporary organization in search of a repeatable and scalable business model. So, I think it's interesting, like the Web3 world has been around. We've invested in, my partners invested from the beginning, Layer 1, Definity, you name it. But ultimately, you have to kind of go to where the value is to the consumer. Ultimately, you have to be creating some kind of value. A smart contract is basically just an app, right? A wallet should be an account or a profile. So, what's happening with AI, and I see AI as just like the air we breathe. AI is affecting everything. Web 1, Web 2, Web 3 has some very particular, I think, accelerants on to Web 3. But I also agree with Sanjeev that we're at a really interesting point in time where the regulatory environments are changing, which basically frees up and brings capital into this market. But we also still have to be cognizant that you have to pass the grandmother test, which is my grandmother will never be able to figure out how to do a MetaMask and do 10 C's and then go take that paper and put it down into a deposit box and make sure she doesn't lose her keys. So we have to be kind of real with this stuff. It's like, in the last 10 years, I think people have been talking about Web3 and how it's going to change things. But ultimately, it's kind of like providing real value to real businesses or consumers in a significant way. So, for example, like we have deep political connections as well. And as a fund, we're looking at doing startups. We're also starting as how do we unleash all this capital into Web3, right? And how do we start? And Bitcoin is a big starter because people understand digital gold and the impact it'll have on reserves. But what if we just did a tokenized and a digital version of a treasury management? People, buy T-bills, right? And so T-bills sit in a drawer and they go to maturity, but they're not tokenized.
That's the most liquid, I believe.
It's the most liquid. So what if you could go to a treasury and say, listen, you could be buying Bitcoin, we're gonna go to the States, and like you're buying Bitcoin now to bring up your reserve. Why don't you take the trillions of dollars you have in T-bills and tokenize them? And then create, now you don't have to actually repo them, you can actually create liquidity with them. You could put that into a lending protocol. So the goal is to have the light bulb go off when they see that first smart contract trigger actual return for them. Like go from 5% return rates to where I can actually move that up to 7%. And a treasurer that sits in that seat is going to be like, that is really cool. What else can we do? And then that will continue to free up. So wave one is going to be this whole Bitcoin movement, reserves, and treasury management, but that moves into all the other things that can happen. But ultimately, we need to get to a Facebook profile, not MetaMask. We need to be able to have onboarding. We need to think of users and retention, and I could go on and on. But AI also takes blockchain. I actually think AI does for Web3. I would say the other way. I would say AI is actually going to help Web3. It's going to put the smart in the smart contracts and actually make blockchain way more effective in our view.
Thank you. I know that you wanted to respond to John, and that's actually the next kind of discussion, right? Is those barriers, right? How can we address those barriers as Dan mentioned and John mentioned, right? How do you make it easier, accessible through AI?
True. So just to talk about and what John has said is the T-bills is one of the most favorite use case of mine when it comes to, because it drives the liquidity. The biggest problem in RWA, I can issue as many as I've done almost billions of dollars of tokens minted on chain, various chains, because we have multi-chain, chain agnostic, asset agnostic. But where is the liquidity for RWA, right? I mean, there has to be a liquidity distribution, liquidity rates. Today, T-bills, we've done T-bills as well. And the use case, what you just said, is something which is really unique as well. I see, as I said, the financial securities require regulations, and regulations require clarity and regulations, which of course, and Brett and we were talking about it. So what we built is something which is really unique, is because these are financial regulations. So you can actually have the regulations which is inbuilt in a contract based on the regulation, based on the jurisdiction where you are issuing the securities. So think about it, if you are issuing securities in the US, you actually get the SEC's Reg D 506C, Reg D 506B, Reg S exemptions. These are exemptions to issue financial securities. So we've inbuilt everything in our smart contracts. So if you're issuing something in Dubai, the VARA regulation which is getting applicable. If you're issuing something in ADGM in Abu Dhabi, the ADGM regulation which is getting applicable. So now we are launching, in fact, on Hedera, we are launching the first BaFin-approved regulatory broker dealer, which is issuing the hard assets, which is, of course, real estate on-chain. And our launch is happening next month on Hedera chain. So these are certain barriers, but of course, we've seen that over the years. And of course, I mean, as I said, as you were talking about it in terms of the biggest issue is, of course, the interface. I mean, the user interfaces, and I'm sure AI would help in terms of moving those barriers actually for sure. And the such kind of fraud detection, because people are still not happy or probably convinced that institutions are talking about, because we deal with institutions, so they still require a push from big fours to push them on chain, because we work with PwC. Deloitte, it pushes our solutions to their clients. So I think we've seen that barrier is still a problem in terms of the adoption is concerned. So that's what I feel is one of these barriers for us.
Suzanne, you've heard some of the comments from John, right? How to make it easier, having a Facebook profile, how do you use emails like MetaMask?
Abstract. Yes. I mean, secure social logins, right? No secret keys, gasless transactions. all of that is really important, as I mentioned before. Another Barry, I was talking to Sanjeev about this earlier, and it's really interesting to hear. I want to hear more about your real estate stuff, but part of one of the biggest barriers is really just an externality that we can't control, right? What regulators haven't answered yet, right? For example, is a Bitcoin transaction legally countable as a settlement in financial law? Like, we don't know. And as you pointed out, we're going through a regulatory change. But for example, I mean, if you had some guy that wanted to tokenize his real estate agency and his real estate listings, unless he had some sort of authorization or worked for some sort of government or governing body that actually regulated and authorized real estate registries, tokenizing that would be just an auxiliary mechanism. It would be obsolete. It wouldn't be necessary, right? And so we have these kind of, until these regulatory bodies, this is for gold, this is for collectibles, this is for any real world assets, you know, kind of jump on board. So I love hearing that you're actually, you know, far and few between, but you are, you know, getting regulatory bodies on board that can certify this is just, and so I love to see it.
You know, you talk about regulatory, and there's a lot of legal aspects, right? You've represented or you've met with a lot of startups from the early stage to mid stage. What are some of the things that you see they're solving the barriers, or what you see the solving barriers, and how is that impacting you as in your business?
Well, I'll try not to bore everybody here, but I do want to respond to Sanjeev's comment. Like, I fell down the rabbit hole because of smart contracts initially, because wow, that can make my job easier. That can make clients and their business interactions and contract administration easier because it would just be automated. That sounds awesome. And then you just go from that. I don't have to draft everything. It's just built into the smart contract program. And now we just advise on the things, the big conversations where we can add the most value for all of you guys, whether you're a startup or an investor. And you know, when I come back to the use, the access, I think of, I might be dating myself, Tom from MySpace. Like, it's got to be that simple. Like, you think about, like, how do we interact with this? So on the AI side, I see things like the AI agents, whether it's you want to train versus what is our traditional Web2 comparison and option. So for example, content. I can go on Maverin, start my own course, charge $2,000 a week or a month. That's all out there. You see like experts like Amy Duke. She's a former professional poker player, author. She charges like their great courses versus, okay, there's an AI solution where I can go and train an agent as a professor, train with my content, and someone can interact with that AI agent, my avatar, ask it questions, learn everything that I've embedded in it and built into it, or monetizing myself. Which one is easier? Sign up for a course, train an AI agent. I think we have to make some of these things easier to do. And there are startups building this. This is where I've seen some of these things, where you have an agent you can train, give them legit content that's authenticated, verifiable, and now that's you. That's my twin, my digital twin. Teach you how to do things, and they're paying, and they're monetizing it, and they're making tokens that represent the information itself. Like, that merge gets me really excited, but we are the barriers, honestly. We have to make this more simple, and then the regulation, the clarity, the resets, that's gonna take time, and it'll be better than it was. And I won't have deja vu with clients every day saying the same thing. You're gonna take some risk. I'm not gonna tell you, because that's a win. But we're not gonna take that risk unless you wanna do it. Because I take calculated risks, but my clients have to make that decision for themselves. Because it's their business with my informed counsel. So we'll be in a better place. It's gonna take some time, even with the roundtable discussions happening in like 9 days, crypto task force. And they're not gonna come out of there saying, we got the answer, but it's be more collaborative, which is gonna be very helpful for opening up the floodgates to enable and not be a blocker.
I'd say everyone's going to have to really rethink. You know, even as an entrepreneur, there's this idea of a liquid startup. You know, way back when you'd actually have to go to the library, you'd have to get your car,
drive to the library, look up the Dewey Decimal System, go find a book, and you stay, you get to learn to figure out, like, now Google made knowledge, that much faster. AI actually can start writing contracts. You got to be careful. Everyone's going to have to reinvent, even attorneys. Like, you'd be surprised at how many contracts I've written. My attorneys are asked, and I wrote it with AI. And analyzing contracts, right? So things are changing, things are moving so much faster, but there are so many really interesting new business models that could be being created at the speed of light. And so you got to be careful as an entrepreneur, I think, because you don't want to start a business to make money. You need to start a business to solve a problem that you've been thinking about for a long period of time, and so that you have a unique insight to whatever that you're building, right? I think that's kind of interesting. So Eric and I were having a conversation earlier. I think one of the greatest use cases of AI is an on-chain agent that is basically policing a network. So how many wallets are really on the network? How many fake wallets are on the network? How many real, growth, we have real active users. It kind of comes back to the Web 2.0. How many customers do you have? Well, you have wallets. I don't have data on you, right? So, but I need to know, like, how many I'm retaining. What's the monetization of those users over time? So cost acquisition, the retention, all the kind of like first principles still come back. But I do think like AI is going to shine a light in terms of helping Web3 become more, just shine a light on things to actually make it and police those environments and make them way healthier.
Yeah, I just want to add something. So we, when we started, putting our first private equity fund on chain, it's almost $1 billion fund with a master feeder structure, and we realized that the fund admin has a very a difficult process in terms of kind of putting the whole administration on chain. We automate that process and from AI with AI. And it's saved him 60% of the cost, and it's fully automated. So these are certain things, we have low-hanging fruits, right? Like for me, I'm thinking of actually using, FDNN to actually, kind of literally, predict the token or an asset pricing when the token is going to be traded on exchange, right? I mean, if you put this power on chain, like whatever it's like $10 billion, and you're issuing a token, the token value for that point of time, so it's a live pricing, which needs to be automated, and that is possible with AI as well. So we're talking about that, but that's going to take time. So, but this is something which can automate right now, which we already done that. So this is something which we can actually do. It's a phase approach, what you correctly said. So.
And even as throughout the conversation, one of the theme I'm hearing is like tokenization, right? Real world assets, T-bills, real estate, right? And community from Suzette, from your perspective, right? What are ways that you talked about the barriers, right? What are ways to address some of those barriers, or how do you figure out like more onboarding for just the regular users?
Well, I mean, like, I'll talk specifically to Web3 here. We have a trust issue, first of all. We have too many hacks. Most of them are cross-chain bridge hacks, but not all of them. Many of them involve centralized processes like multi-sig wallets that aren't properly maintained, a variety of reasons. But I think, and I'm just going to come out and say it, I think in the crypto space, unless, with the exception of something like ICP, where I see constant updates, projects just like, okay, we had our audit, yeah, last year, we're fine. And they just, okay, it works so far, but we need to really get serious about this. Omni Network has just been working on cross-chain interoperability for 5 years. And we take it very, very seriously. So I think that's a big issue, and I think it's incumbent upon builders not just those who are building projects, but those who have already built projects to make sure their stuff is secure. So, okay, so you have a wizard behind the curtain, that's fine. You have an off-chain relay, or you have an off-chain indexer, that's fine. Make sure that's secure, because these hacks are just, people aren't going to trust us. Secondarily, yeah, what are we going to do about shitcoin pump and dump? We can't do anything about that. I think that as an editor, there are probably thousands of articles that already have advised the general population, yeah, no hot twat token, maybe no. So yeah, education, but you can lead a horse to water, but can't make them drink here too. So what can we do to get people to stop investing in shitcoins? Well, before that, in 2008, nobody would really understand the premise of the Bitcoin white paper unless people didn't wake up one day and go in 2008, like, hey, wait a minute, like, why do we have to bail out the banks? Like, why is that our responsibility? So when the Bitcoin white paper was released, you know, that premise in the Bitcoin white paper, you know, censorship, resistance, self-sovereignty, etc., was relevant. It was understood. It wasn't until 2008 that really hit. In the same sense, now, and I think AI is going to bring us into a really transparent place where previous crypto newbies or virgins or whatever you call them who didn't know anything about blockchain are going to start asking questions about AI because it affects everybody. It's going to affect everybody. And so I think things like, oh, Adobe, you know, got blamed for training their learning models on copywritten, you know, material. And that creates this friction and this buzz because AI is the hot topic, or, you know, ChatGPT decided to call back on its plans to open source, and now it's not non-profit. So what am I saying? Web3 newbies, AI, people who are exposed to AI are asking, well, why is this a problem? Should I be worried about this? What data are they training the AI on? You know, where is that being trained? And what does that do? It sets up this situation where everyday individuals can understand, oh, maybe we need transparency. Maybe we need to decentralize this so it's not up in some AWS cloud somewhere costing a lot of money and we can't see what's going on. So in a weird way, I actually think AI is going to bring people to understand the need for decentralization and, you know, the self-sovereignty, the verifiability, et cetera, that only blockchain tech can give you, and hence maybe spur some mass adoption on it. That's my weird theory.
Well, you could be the president of Greenland, and issue a token, a coin.
I just want to add to Suzanne's point. I think the fluency, like everyone has to get comfortable on some level with using the technology, whether it's AI or Web3, like you're learning how to drive a car, you are learning to use a computer or Microsoft Office. Like you have to have some level, and those that learn to use it the best will scale themselves and be the most successful, in my opinion. But if you are disengaged, you're asleep at the wheel, you're not driving. Either somebody else is or AI is driving, literally. So I think you have to be engaged and try things. Like, even if you're not the best at it, no one is to start. Like, it took me a lot of time to get comfortable with the MetaMask wallet, and I'm still working on the cold storage wallet because I don't want to be that person that loses my keys and I don't have any of my small portfolio. So I diversify across MetaMask, other exchanges, because we're on the cutting edge, and you have to be okay with some risk and discomfort. That's how we grow. So I really encourage people to really engage with it, because that's part of the barrier. If you don't spend time on it and know the issues, how to recognize them, how are you going to know what decisions to make or what to advise someone in making decisions? And then the security part, as Suzanne was referencing, there are companies that are out there that really focus on identifying issues, like the AI agents you're talking about, John. Like companies are building those things to police, and that's great. There are other companies that for the wallet hacks, like on-chain, they work with the SEC, the DOJ, the FBI to track down and recover funds. That will give people more comforts. So I think that's where you start small, so your risk is lower. You're comfortable with, hey, I could lose this and be okay. Don't go all in if you don't know what you're doing. I mean, that's like me going to another country where I go to Spain. I can speak 5 words Spanish. That's it. I'm not going to do well on my own, but I can get better, and it's all relative, right?
Yeah, I think it's just like solving problems in the real world for real people. People make decisions for personal reasons. So those examples need to come through. It kind of reminds me, like when we were at Netscape, we never talked about TCP/IP, and we didn't talk about all the jargon that's going on. Customers like just point and click, and then they got whatever the results are. So whether it's taking real world assets from a landlord and just disintermediating all the need for a landlord, because you have a smart contract, can manage the budget of the place. AI you tokenize it, you can distribute all the proceeds from all the rents. You can manage the rents, you can set the rents, you can do all this stuff with AI. But the people that invest in that property don't really care. They just know that the bank account's going up, and it's pretty slick. So I think, like from an entrepreneur's perspective, don't get caught in the weeds of the jargon. Really think about solving real problems for real people in the world, and what that does. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Thanks, John. And then, Brett called me out here. I just put 8 in all the shit coins, right? So thanks for calling me out. I'm kidding, right? But we're going to bring this to a landing spot, right? We're going to be having a wrap-up question, because we've shared a lot of your perspective on from the experience, which we really appreciate, and hopefully the audience get a chance to ask some questions from YouTube. But before we go to the audience, right? Your advice, right? What do you see? What are the technologies that from your work, right, is missing? And you think so from the first principle perspective, right? Things that you're working on, right? Where do you think those technologies that's missing that can help with, or you're excited about, right, in helping that mass adoption? So, Suzanne, you want to go first?
So I'm going to just keep this really specific to Omni Network now, and not from a high level. But well, we recently kind of had an interesting discovery on our own. So we built this cool runes exchange environment, and we're like, wow, this is 100% on-chain. It goes from your Bitcoin wallet to the mempool back to your Bitcoin wallet. It's amazing. But not everybody is kind of like OG Bitcoin Core, ethos. And a lot of traders, they don't have time for 10-minute blocks on Bitcoin. They want it now. And so I should preface this by saying Omni Network also builds a lot of tools that other protocols you might have heard of use, such as Odin Fund or Liquidium or Blockminer. Specifically, we have on-chain runes indexer, which allows protocols to see everything that's happening on Bitcoin. And because we're on ICP, protocols that are built on ICP can use our cross-chain runes, etching, canister, and our interoperability tools. While we were launching this, kind of old school, very cool runes on-chain AMM decks, all Bitcoin, all day long, Odin Fund was also launching on ICP. And now Odin Fund is kind of like a pump fund, but for runes, and it blew up. It went off. Everybody was so excited about all this runes liquidity. It was fantastic. And there is a moment or two in Odin Fund where there's a little black box, and your assets aren't right in front of you. You're not sure where they are. Maybe you have to switch to CQBTC. I don't know, right? Does the user care? No. Want dog now? Buy dog now. That's what the user wants. So what we realized is that, why don't, for mass adoption, for both use cases, why don't we have both, right? Why can't we offer for people and I can imagine, let's say you've done quite a bit of trading and now your runes are worth a bit of money and it's a couple of years down the road, maybe you want to see where your transaction from your wallet to the mempool back to your wallet again. You want to track that. But yeah, if you're just trying to get in on a quick trade on a new hot runes, you should be able to have some sort of layer too. right? That maybe you can't see everything, maybe it's not transparent, maybe it's not trustless, but you get shitcoin now and that's what you wanted. And so I think that we're going to be able to build things for all users. They're going to have a lot of different options. So those with trust issues can have more of a trustless area, and those just want to get in and get it fast can do that also.
John said, I want my grandma to be able to use it too. And Brett, you've seen a lot of projects, right? What are you excited about? What do you think the future in helping mass adoption?
So I think on a basic level, some of my clients, for example, are shooting up a satellite into space to provide internet, those that don't have quality internet. Other clients are building stable coins for countries because they don't have a reliable central bank. Those are really basic functions that we take for granted. So I'm excited to see how that rises the floor. And then for us that are, we're more advanced with where we are, and not say it's better or anything, but like how do we actually adopt it besides just payments? Because there are many big companies that accept, Starbucks accept crypto for payments. What's like the next level to go? I mean, I see like engagement for like brands, you see that in entertainment, sports, like in a way that actually adds to the experience. I mean, I'm a big sports fan. I would love to see how that actually continues to play out and in a way that, that's entertainment. It's not solving world hunger, but I think those low-hanging fruit will make things more tangible to the everyday person. Like, how does this add benefits in a way that makes sense and is fun? And then it'll start to scale to more serious things that we've all been building and working on. So I think that's where I'm at. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight though. I think like in 5 years, those that use the technology the most, learn how to make themselves more than they are, will be in a better spot. And those that don't, I speak to commercial real estate brokers, developers, lenders. I'm trying to figure out where does this fit. I said, I always encourage them, go use it and figure it out. Because if you don't do it, somebody else will. And then you're left behind. And that's where you do get replaced. So I don't think that's going to happen overnight either. But you can find ways to kind of thrive with making the most of AI and Web3.
Nice, low-hanging fruit. That's what we need to go. Sanjeev, is up.
So I'll stick to my domain, which is real-world asset. And quite excited about speaking with Steve about how do we we are putting up a first NBA team captive on chain. Now so the use case is this: there are investors in NBA captive where they put $5 million, $10 million. The team makes it big, but they never get an exit because they are low. I don't want to say like minority shareholder. Right? They have $5 million. The team makes like $100 million, but their money actually increases, but they don't get an exit. So now we are putting that on chain, so which is quite exciting. So you can actually own an NBA team, and of course there will be a utility play as well, where you can actually have a merchandise, or you can purchase their merchandise, or you can use their loyalty rewards and all of these. But these are security aspects of it, something which is quite exciting, which has never happened. The other thing which we were talking about is a SpaceX rockets, which is Falcon-X. Now think about those rockets are actually insured by some companies. We are actually putting those insurance contract on chain. So which is quite fascinating to see that we never had an access for kind of like insuring the SpaceX Falcon-X rockets, which is that's something which is quite exciting. The other thing is we are working on you can own a pre-IPO shares, which is SpaceX or all these shares in a fraction, and which is actually a fund which we are tokenizing it, which is directly listed with NASDAQ, and NASDAQ is involved in this project as well. So these are some of the real use cases where you can own this, you can trade this, and of course, I mean, with all these adoption happening fast, with the regulation, with at the same time, from the user's perspective, it will definitely have a huge increase in such kind of more use cases coming out. So that's exactly what I think is something which is quite fascinating.
Yeah, I have no clue. I think what I was going to say is that I can pick a few areas that I'm excited about.
But it's almost like from the beginning of the internet and like, what are the use cases? Like there's such transformational change. And I think that the greatest ideas come from people that have been thinking about a problem and now all of a sudden they have the tools they can do, they've always wanted to solve it. And they have what I call I learned this from Mike Maples, as a friend of mine. It's a 4-quadrant matrix. I've turned this into helpful advice for entrepreneurs. Like, you have either consensus or non-consensus, or either you're right on the market or wrong on the market. So you never want to be wrong market because you never make anything, right? And you want to be consensus right on the market, because if you're consensus right, there's a lot of other people doing the same thing, trying to beat you to it, and it's basically a money ball game to get there faster to be number one, because you need to be number one or number two. What you really want to be is sort of non-consensus right, so that people are not thinking the way you do. You've seen a problem, you want to solve it, and it's a way that other people are not thinking about it, and gives you some time, and things are moving at lightning speed nowadays with AI. You may have a great idea, and you can look it up, and the AI will figure out that's already been done. So like, it's just the rules are changing, but those ideas are still out there. And I think it's the new economics that are unleashed, new business models that we've never thought about that are super interesting. I think short term, we're going to just see real world assets being moved over, use case, and the friction's going to be taken out, and there's going to be these subtle different value propositions that are interesting. It's just like, if we just talk about liquid startups, like you can vibe code now, right? Like you don't even need to be, it used to be a coder was like your secret sauce and no one else could do. Now you can actually type into a chat window and actually be typing out code and building all kinds of applications. So it's just it's a really different game right now. I think it's interesting. But those seeing around corners, non-consensus right, I want to meet those entrepreneurs that have seen something that other people haven't, or seen the world in a different view that other people haven't. And that's what I would say.
John and Sonia, do we have some time for questions from the audience? Right, of course, we have builders and dreamers in the audience. Right? Anybody want to have a question? Patrick.
Hi, everybody. So I come at this from climate action standpoint, so I pose my question a little bit. Talk about real world assets. I'd like to ask about intangible assets and their ability to track those in the blockchain. I think especially as companies do lifetime analyses and try to reduce carbon emissions, there's opportunity to show net benefit on biodiversity credits and things like outcomes like that. I think that is.
So we're working on a few of the projects on. So there's a private equity fund which is investing in building green energy and AI data centers. So we are talking about creating those utility tokens which actually kind of measure those credits for ESG credits. So I think it's something which is really interesting. But honestly, I've been interacting with a lot of these ESG and carbon credits issuers. But the authenticity in terms of how it can be traded and what value it is going to be traded is something which is always a problem for me to understand. So I think that's something which is I don't want to say that I don't want to see these use cases coming up, but Hedera supports a lot on this ESG credits because we're working with Hedera closely on some of these kind of use cases where they would want to kind of put those assets on chain and then measure those credits on ESG credits where most of the big corporates are actually involved in like this.
Anybody else have a question in the audience? I'll continue.
Hi, James Hines here. Great presentation. My question is around the three people on the panel that mentioned the term sports. So my question is looking at the subject of the theme. Can sports bring web and AI to the masses, or can Web3 and AI? Let's stick with that question there. Can sports as an action bring AI and Web3 to the masses?
I'll take a stab at this. So I think it can is the short answer. I think the way it comes down to how you craft the engagements. So like with an NFT, for example, there's different brands like, Prada, some luxury brands are doing that. And that's the same thing that ties into I have companies that are building and work with different sports teams, whether it's like, premier football teams across the sea, it's minor league baseball teams. So like, what is the way to get, like, hey, you scan a QR code, you get an NFT that says you're at the game, you collect points, and now you're going to be able to meet and greet with the players before, their last home game of the season. That's very.
Sorry, I wish someone had made an addendum to that. Yeah. It can't be NFT as part of the question. Answer.
Well, I'm glad that's where I started, because I was going to leave that eventually. I think that's a very crude example of it. I'm curious to see how some of the builders are going to take it to the next level, because like sports, that's what unites us, live sports. Think about all the networks, ESPN, TNT, all these bidding wars for live sports, whether you're at home or at the game. So I don't just think about it being there in person. Yes, I think that will. I mean, I'm curious, like Sanjeev or John or even Sven, have you seen any good use cases outside of NFTs that are actually?
Yeah, I can think of one just from like being around my son, fantasy football, AI and fantasy football. I mean, there you go.
So we been working on this sports franchisee team since 2019, the biggest federation in the world. And I think I don't want to talk about whether it's an NFT or a security or whatever it is, because that's something which is the legal needs to actually talk about it. But then it took us long to talk about the ownership of a team, and that ownership can actually be translated into on chain as a financial security. That is something which we have been dealing with, and we are very close to get that project launched. This could probably be the first, team to have, you can own that team and also have a utility token to actually, get the benefits of loyalty rewards or any of these things which you could probably, have coming up as an NFT rewards probably. And I don't want to use this as a word, but this is how we can, kind of use these technologies in this space.
I was going to add to Suzanne, she sparked. I think gambling is the other part of this, is gambling and on-chain, which casino is its own animal in terms of industry, highly regulated gambling across the United States. But we're up to over half the states have legalized sports betting. And if you take that on-chain, well, the casinos are okay with that. I think it has a lot of value because then you get away from problems where, all right, now I can see which sports books have the best odds on-chain, and I can see where the betting is happening for one side, and I know it's reliable data versus like, do I trust FanDuel or DraftKings? Not always, that's for sure. Especially when they pump out some of these promotions where it's like, here's 10% to throw out some like 1 in 30 chance. Right, don't sign me up for that. But I think that is a way, because it's so popular. Like, and I'm from the Midwest, from Ohio, where they've legalized it. My friends gamble every day on the app. And we're sitting in California where we got defeated like 3-1. But like, hopefully it comes back and hopefully we can find some compromise. But like, I think that is a really way to engage people. Is it the best use case? No. But if it's done, kind of responsibly, I think having that on chain is a really valuable thing, because then we get away from some of these sports scandals with like cheating and point shaving, where people really care about sports. So
just to add, right, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, when I was just discussing with this founder who actually has this idea about putting an NBA team on chain, he said, see, in sports, there are two entities that are very important, right? One is the player and the fans. In reality, they don't get anything. I mean, I'm saying compared to the franchisee owners, right? So that's something which is now the players are voicing it out, that we also wanted to get ownership, and this is something that actually can give them an ownership, and fans can equally have the importance of they being a loyal fan of this particular team, that they get benefited as well, and at the same time the players also can get benefited out of this.
I want to give the audience time for networking also, but in a coincident, gentleman sitting next to you, Carlson, Curve.io, he's working on some sports stuff too. So I can call you out, Carlson.
Yeah, I'm just mainly fan engagement stuff that we're doing.
But there's AI agents, that's something you automatically bet to.
Right.
Now, one last question. Anybody else? Oh, Gary, the cacao guy.
Best in the house.
So, really is more about Hedera. All the governance tokens that's issued out for DAO members engagement for supporting the supply chain as well as distributing the cacao across the world. They're all actually like backed by the asset, which is the cacao. Right now, the governance tokens is on the Solana chain, and the cacao, the inventory is just managed on Google Sheet. It's literally a time to do it. So how is it easy is it to start moving those onto Hedera and linking up the Hedera ledger reports of the real assets with our Solana governance tokens? Because our tokens actively traded right now, those cacao, it is managed on the Google ledger sheet. And just 2 hours before I came in, the farmers on the Brazilian side are saying that some dude is like trying to import 12 tons of cacao into the US. And we're going to be charging those, right? So I think there's a lot of pressure right now to start moving our cacao assets as well as the supply chain on the chain. And what I've observed is that trying to shift stuff on chain is quite a lot of friction.
I mean, I'm not actually. I can definitely take this to data. Honestly, it's definitely would love to have these discussions. In fact, I'm meeting them next week in New York. So, but I don't see any reason it will be a very easy transition. I mean, that's what I see because I represent Zonix, but I'm built on Hedera as well. But I think would love to kind of take this to Hedera directly.
Thank you for that question, Jerry. Again, everyone, Jerry's Agroverse. He's providing cacao tonight with samples, and you buy a bag, and it helps to restore, regenerate Amazon rainforest. And he's helping directly with the Brazilian farmers. Before I thank the speakers here, I also want to recognize Red Pool in the back. So come in Block C and raise your hand, Block C folks. Dr. Pavo with Nexus. So these are our startups. Again, we're here to build a community. So thank you for the startups to come and demonstrate. And we have also Orbis Finance. I saw Orbis Finance folks in the back earlier. With that, everyone, please stay behind and network. There's food, there's drinks, there's wine, there's beer. Get as many as you can. And a presentation, one more presentation. But before I go into presentation again, John, Sandeep, Suzanne, Brett, thank you for being up here and sharing your experience.
James. My pleasure. Engagement. Simple like James. Yeah. It's a simple notion. Hey James, nice to meet you. Okay. It's been that day. There's a simple notion that most athletes, particularly Olympic athletes, they win medals and money.
All right, you guys ready? I'll go on 3. Say cacao. 1. Perfect. One more. Awesome. Thank you.
All right, guys. We'll also take a group picture right after our presentations are done. All right, I'm going to ask our speakers to just sit down for a minute and bear with us for another 5 to 10 minutes, guys. We have a couple of presentations that we want to go through. First of all, a quick word about Orbis86. I see a lot of familiar faces. You guys probably know we put together these community events. Our goal is to onboard people to Web3, AI, emerging tech. You can come and talk to me more about it. I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. You'll see the QR code later on. I want to just give a quick shout out to all of our ecosystem partners. Without these people partnering with us for these events, it wouldn't be possible to put together the events because all of the events we do cost a couple of $1,000, if not more, even at a smaller scale. So we're grateful for these partnerships. A lot of our events are also covered on various crypto media channels as well as mainstream channels. And these are some of the partners helping us amplify the message. Ken, do you want to say something about off-chain?
Already did.
All right, so we're good there. Besides Infinity, besides Definity, an internet computer protocol that's responsible for the evening, we also have support from other players in the Definity ecosystem, and that's the ICP Hubs network. The ICP Hubs network is, you can see their banner right there in the back. They basically are decentralized. They are across, they're located in various global, they have a global presence. And the hubs is primarily responsible for onboarding people onto Definity. So if you're trying to learn more about the internet computer, you should go and check out their hubs network. Quantum Leap Labs is actually one of the accelerators. It's actually the accelerator to be on if you are trying to get onto internet computer. They are affiliated, or rather they're supported by Definity Foundation. So again, the banner in the back that talks about quantum leap labs actually, so you can go and check. Also the hot cacao by Agroverse. We also have our brand partner, brand PR, to help us amplify the message. Here's a quick video about brand PR.
In the fast-moving world of Web3, crypto, and AI, we are all witnessing the world transform. In Web3, launching a project is just the beginning, and visibility is what truly matters. The more you get noticed, the more you shine. Well, interestingly, at Brand PR, we just don't focus on project to get noticed. We make sure that they stay relevant and actually make some noise. Because let's be real, the competition is wild, and over the past few years, Brand PR has built strong connections with top media houses, securing features on major platforms across the globe. Whether it's a fresh ICO, IDO, exchanges, or established blockchain project. Looking for a long-term growth? We make sure you're seen, heard, and trusted. Brand PR handles PR, relationship building, to digital marketing and SEO, from sales management and event branding to press release distribution, and SEO-driven content that ranks on Google News. We deliver updates that reach the right audience because building a crypto brand is more than just the hype. We run high converting email campaigns with the best ROI. And we drive your voice through Telegram and X communities to keep the engagement high. Visit brandpr.io or contact us at info@brandpr.io.
So that's our branding partner, brandpr.io. Please go and check out their website. If you really are in the Web3 space and looking to amplify your voice on various crypto channels, reach out to them. They actually are based out of the MENA region, so they are probably cheaper than the consulting firms that you find here for advertising. How many people in the room are founders? Oh, quite a few founders, okay. So I'm pretty sure many of you wonder about grants. Any founders here who have received grants? So, okay, a couple of you, that's good. Now, those who have received grants or others who are checking out, you know that finding grants is a hard problem. So our partner, 0x Labs, they are connected with over 300 different Web3 foundations that give out grants. So when you talk to them, they allow you to skip some of the steps if they find your project to be good. They allow you to skip the steps of applying through the website and then waiting for your grant application to actually be picked up. They will directly connect you to the various grant managers. They do collect a success fee once the grant has been deployed. However, they really save you a lot of time and effort. So here's some information about 0x Labs.
Hi everyone, Ryan here. I'm the head of 0x Labs. We are a consulting firm helping startups like you. Just let me drive you through a quick presentation so that you will understand what we do and how we can help you. So 0x Labs is a team of 22 plus people. We have been working in the space for more than 2 years now, helped more than 200 clients over the space, and basically are acting as middleman and consulting firm between you and the foundation, the Web3 foundations. Me currently the CEO of the company, and myself, Ryan, I'm the head of sales of the company. We've been in the space for 10 years for quarantine and 6 years for myself, and have been working closely with most of the foundation in the space. Our company includes full services, so grants and funding, strategic consulting, tokenomics, growth and go-to-market, even the paperwork. We can help you from ideation phase up to TGE phase. Anytime, anything you need, just reach out to us. We also focus on the grant market, so basically we help you getting funded with grants, non-dilutive funding. You don't give any equity, any token. You get the money, build on the chain or an ecosystem, get the money, keep building, and achieve milestones to our success. We help you there. How did we do that? And what did we do? Quick figures for you. We have raised almost $9 million in grants for a success rate of 83% and growing. And we have managed to get over 100K US dollars on average for our clients. Speaking of partners, we have more than 140 partners across the whole Web2 ecosystem and more than 230 clients. You probably know some of them, so anytime, if you have any question, just please feel free to reach out to me. Contact at 0xlabs.tech or Ryan at 0xlabs.com. Thank you.
To contact at 0xlabs.tech. Again, the grant money that you receive, that is equity free. Any grants that you get, it's equity free. 0x Labs, we do have a service fee though, and then when you chat with them, you can get to know. With that, I just want to ask 5 of our startups who are going to be demoing outside. So maybe we can start with, do we have Orbiter? Or I'm just going to go down the list. 384.co. I'm just going to ask the founders to come here and speak about their startup for a minute, so you guys know what to expect when you see them there. I see Eric from Blocksy. So Blocksy, Eric, do you want to just come up for a minute and you can talk about Blocksy? Sure. And then guys, you can find Eric out there.
Thanks, Sonia. So hi everyone, I'm Eric Forrest, and Blocksy is a dashboard that helps you visualize blockchain. We launched it 3 years ago for NFT community management. We were finding now there's a lot of interest in tracking AI agents in agentic commerce. So one thing you can do with Blocksy is you can set up a bunch of wallets to track, alerts. I can show you a demo. I'll be demoing it out here in the hallway. You can visualize all of the interactions with wallets, with smart contracts, see all the wallets connected to any smart contract address. So if you're interested in visualizing blockchain, getting actionable insights, come see the demo on the call. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Brandon from Rockpool. Brandon, a quick shout out to Brandon for also helping us check in everyone. A lot of these events, again, without volunteer help, it's not possible. It's typically Ken, me, and a couple of friends who put this together. So Brandon has been that friend in me today. Thank you, Brandon. And Brandon is representing Rockpool. Please, Brandon, do you want to come up here and talk for a minute about Rockpool?
So Rockpool was born with the idea that most of the scams that are happening are not original content. It's the same copy and paste strategies over and over again, taking advantage of new people who don't know what to look out for, don't know what flags and experience investors know what to look out for. The regular user, the first touch point with crypto is often an ad they see on ads. And so Rockpool is a social profile evaluator, providing off-chain risk analysis, analyzing the content that social profiles are producing from people who are launching or promoting tokens. So it's providing social context to on-chain risk analysis, accelerating the research process of advanced traders and protecting new users from what they don't know.
Thank you, Brandon. So again, Rockpool as a risk analysis platform that is pulling data from social media to perform the risk analysis. It is useful for Web3 products for sure, because there aren't many ways for us to verify the authenticity, but it's not necessarily just a Web3 product. It can be used by any product that need to vet people based on their social media profiling and activity. So go ahead and check Rockpool. And Pavel, do we have, oh, Pavel's right there. Dr. Pavel. Pavel's busy chatting. I'm taking a selfie. Brent and Pavel. Pavel, can you come up here and talk about Synexis for a minute? I think it's going to get quieter with Pavel here.
Hi everyone, glad to be here. Ken, Sonia, thanks for the opportunity. Glad to partner with you on many activities already. So I'm founder of and CEO of Synexis. My name is Dr. Pavel Vinitsky. So we built a deal flow AI intelligence for startups, investors, and enterprises. So we provide the whole ecosystem infrastructure for preparing companies, analyzing them, help create investment memo, implementations, all that stuff. And then to make the magic and using the AI algorithms to match with proper investors and enterprise partnerships. We do it in cycle, providing also updates, reports, and all these necessary pieces during long journey working with stakeholders. So as part of the story, we also integrate with demo days, with events and communities. So I will be glad to talking to each and every of you if you're raising now, just like talk to me if you are going to raise in the next 6 to 18 months as well, because you need to start today. And if you're looking for the great investments and find them in a smart way, if you will invest money, just like talk to me as well. So we'll be glad to bring value, talk to each and every of you, and you can come here with the stage. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pavel. Again, Synexis is a platform built by Pavel for founders as well as investors to connect easily with each other. And Pavel is also an alum of Draper University. He does host a bunch of events with Draper University too. So great guy to connect with. And the one, these are all the startups demoing outside, but I do want to call Gary because he's the guy who's going to be serving premium cacao to all of us. So Gary, maybe you can just come up here for a minute and talk about Agriverse. And guys, after this, we are getting close to wrap up, so you all will be able to network. And please make sure you finish the food with us.
Right, folks. Agriverse basically is a project by TrueSite Cloud. And the cacao is all sourced from farms that's farmers actively restoring the Amazon rainforest from land that was probably chopped down for soybean farming and cattle ranching in Brazil, Amazon. And when the DAO actually chanced upon years ago, we analyzed what was the cause of past 30 years of deforestation in the Amazon rainforest. For every dollar you pay right now in the streets for chocolate, 26 cents goes to the farmers. In Africa, the way to get value like this ultra low pay is that they get their kids to go harvest the cacao. So essentially, they're supporting child. In Brazil, there's other. They say, hey, you know what? The Chinese are giving us good money to grow and give them soybeans. So, the cacao chop down the rainforest and grow some soybeans. And then they just keep on repeating this because they don't really care about the land at that point. Land gets depleted, we chop down another section, grow soybean and cattle, and next thing you know, we have all this crazy wildfire that's actually happening in LA, crazy blizzards, climate change, fucking killing us. And the hypothesis that we had was that, hey, is it possible to kind of build an alternate supply chain to bypass this and realign the economic incentive? Right there, what you see is a successful minimal viable supply chain where every dollar you spend, the farmer actually gets 34 cents instead of 6 cents, which is 6 times more than what the farmers are actually getting. And this encourages them to go back to their traditional agroforestry. Not only to maintain the rainforest, but in some cases taking depleted Amazon rainforest and just growing the forest land again. Basically supporting agroforestry. So I appeal to all of you, please stop by, bring some of the cacao, and if possible buy a few bags so that we can encourage the farmers to continue their efforts. And then stop this crazy wildfire that's killing California. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. And I promise you, we are very near the end. So I need to stop here. This is our next event, guys. Next week, if you're into gaming, please come and join us. I know somebody else, Diane, out here, which is a gaming student. She was asking for other video gamers to go find her if you're into gaming. We are hosting this at Sports Basement, so it's going to be a fun venue. Come see us next week. Tomorrow, our partners, One Piece Labs, they are also kicking off their university tours. If you want to register, you can scan that QR code or take a picture, scan it later on. We'll also share a link as a follow-up. So it's going to happen at Stanford tomorrow. They're kicking off from Stanford as part of ETH SF. And they're accepting everyone who register with this link. So there is that. Finally, next year, not next year, next week, we also have the Blockchain Games Association in partnership with Scale, Sequence. They have a big event at House of Web3. So again, if you're into gaming, GDC, go to House of Web3. They're going to have like a huge audience there. Great folks. Also the BGA. It's very well connected with Animoca, Sandbox, etc. So great folks to connect with. They are a non-profit association in the blockchain gaming space. So a good entity. Go ahead and check that event out. And with that, we are definitely at the end of the event. So thank you everyone for coming here. I'm going to just leave this slide on. So if you want to claim the unstoppable domain, you can go there. If you want to register for our next event, you can scan the QR code. There's like a link tree that pops up and you can get those links from there. That being said, there were a few people who actually paid for the Friends of Web3 ticket. Do we have anyone in the room here who actually paid for a ticket? It was just $10. Anyone who paid for a ticket? All right, I think, oh, you did. Make sure that you grab a bag from Brandon outside. Okay, Brandon can help you get a bag. We have some swag bags for people who supported us. So again, thank you so much for the support. You'll see that the swag itself is worth more than $10, but the thing is that this is just a way for us to see how many people actually contribute, and we really appreciate it. So thank you so much again. All right, guys, with that, let the networking begin. You will have the start of demoing in the back. The pantry is also open, although it's a little cold, but we play some music. I don't know if that would make it warmer. And we're also going to try and turn on the heat. Maybe you can dance outside, and then you'll definitely be warm. Again, guys, thank you everyone for coming in. Before we wrap up, I'm going to ask everyone to just come up in the front so we can grab a picture. All right, guys, picture time. So everyone in the audience, please come up in front and we try to see if we can fit everyone.
I'm moving. I do like to. I like to go back. Yeah, I know my place.
Okay, guys, don't be shy. Please come on out in front. Unless you don't want your face to be visible at all. So please come out in front. All right, guys. We take some more pictures during networking too, but group picture is those. Hey guys, come on up. Come on up. Gary and everybody else, come on up, don't be shy. Go for 10. Guys in the lobby, do you want to come up here for a quick picture? Come on guys, we can grab a quick picture. Okay. Brett? Brett, come on up. There we go.
Right, I'm taller, so I'll leave that.
Get a group photo, please. Only take a second.
All right, I'm the short guy.
We have the vice mayor in the house of Berkeley, Ben Bartlett.
All right, is everybody else there? All right, looks like we got everybody in. Let's take a photo.
Come in the picture. All right, okay.
All right, we're gonna do it on 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's go one more time, just for good luck. And on 3, say AI. 1,
AI.
AI. Perfection. All
All right, love it. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy. Get some food.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's coming because we're, I really like I didn't actually realize that somebody was already like tackling this regular space electronics. So imagine why? Right? If there isn't like like, are you that's a lot where I agree that yes, that's the case. And they were so especially now, like I'm getting what's gonna happen, but very interesting that you're starting, and yes, our thoughts, I have put hours and hours into one organization trying to render something. Everyone's gonna see your progress, and that's what let's say maybe you have a I don't know. But I actually think the front end of AI is going to be so that that's and I want and there was this the guy building this AI platform Yes, it's
Picture on
I'm like, this is ready.